Yo, good afternoon, YouTube. It's been a few days, doing a lot of stuff. All right, so we're going to have a short session today. I'm going to just cover a few more examples of this 2017-2018 SHSAT. We're deep into it. We're on the grade 9 examples at this point. The next one, actually, I have it printed out, so I'm going to do it that way. That way my handwriting and stuff doesn't get in the way. Let me shrink this down slightly or make sure it's all on your guys' screen for starters. So I'm Greg from GregsTutoringNYC at gmail.com. If you guys need a copy of this handbook, please email me and I get your copy because it's usually not available on the internet, and certainly the Department of Education is still not providing it. So let me make sure we're live here. Yeah, we seem good. The example seems to be on the screen, although that's cut off just a smidgen, so let me try to raise that just slightly. There. Okay, that should be good. Yeah. So we're going to do our usual. We're going to start from looking at the illustration. We have an XY coordinate set up on both the left and right-hand side. We have a line going through the origin, the 0, 0. That's here, right? And we have the x and the y. The line is called L. Okay, and we have 2 points they give us, AB and 2A, 2B. All right, and there's nothing else going on below it. So then most likely we're going to ask for maybe the slope of the line, maybe the formula for the line, or things like that. So it's giving a straight line L, this line here, passes through the origin as shown in the figure above. So that's just repeating what we observed, but still important to get that observation in so that whatever they say in the words doesn't kind of start distracting what you're reading. Because sometimes they can throw things in there that are not 100% applicable, or they could be 100% applicable, but they're going to make the wording a little tricky and so on, or whatever. Anyway, in this one, what is the slope of the line L in terms of A and B? So this one's pretty much just straightforward, asking for the slope. They don't give you a coordinate grid like this here. They're not giving you a grid like that. So there's kind of 2 ways to get the slope, and they're really the same, which is the rise over the run. Okay, so the rise is how much is going this way, and the run is how much is going that way. Okay, and we can argue it's going up and down and left and right. Really doesn't matter, it depends how you look at it. And so really we can use a bunch of coordinates. We have the 2A and the 2B here. We have the A and the B here, and we also have 0 and 0. So we actually have 3 sets of points, not just 2, although we can solve it with the both of them. Okay, we can also do this algorithmically, which is really the way you're going to do it anyway. So I'm going to shift this over so we're getting this out of the way because this part of things really doesn't seem to matter. So we have space. So the rise is really the same as the y2 minus the y1. We're subtracting 2 coordinates, their y's, over the difference of their x's as well. Okay? And we normally say y2 and y1, sorry about that, and x2 and x1, but it kind of doesn't matter which is which, just as long as you pick the coordinate from here for that y, then you better pick the coordinate from here for the x. Okay, that's really what it means. Don't flip-flop them. If you flip-flop them, you're going to get the wrong answer for the slope. Okay? And if you pick the one down here for y1, then make the x1 from that same coordinate. Because the truth of the matter is if you flip it to y1 minus y2 over x1 minus x2, you're going to get the same answer. Okay? Because if these are both positive, you're going to get a positive over a positive, and they're both, if we flip them, we're going to get negative over negative, and that's a positive anyway. And if one is positive and one is negative and it flip-flops, we're still going to get the same answer, whether it's minus a half or whatever, we're still going to get that answer. Okay, so what we're going to do is let's do it algorithmically first. So we're going to we can use any of the 2 points, right? So we can get 2b minus b over 2a minus a. So we get b over a. Okay, so our answer should be H. What question number is this? 6. Right, that's our answer there. Now we could have chosen some of the others. We could have done b minus 0 over a minus 0. Right, we're picking b first because that's the y-coordinate. That's our rise. Our y-coordinate is going this way. Our x-coordinate is going that way. So don't screw it up and get a over b. It's always your rise over your run. I would memorize both of these all in unison, and neither is terribly hard to remember. It's just the difference in the y's over the difference in the x's. And the difference in the y's is the difference in how much it's rising. Here it rises up to b, and here it rises up to 2b. And that's over whatever fluctuation is happening going this way. So we have vertical over horizontal. All right? So if we did it this one, we'd have 2b, we'd have b minus 0 over a minus 0. We still get b over a. Okay, and if we use this one and the 0, 0, we'd have 2b minus 0 over 2a minus 0. And that will give us 2b over 2a, but the 2's cancel. All right, so we would still get the same answer. The 2's cancel, so we would still get b over a. Okay? And what they're trying to probably play on is somebody forgetting, because they're both 2 and they're both not 2 and they're both 0, just forgetting because it seems like it's a double, it's just the 2. So that's where the answers of F and G really come from. All right? And if you just follow the mentality of the rise over the run and the difference of the y over the difference of the x, you can't go wrong. Now, in this case, they're not asking whether it's a negative slope or a positive slope. But we can see just while we're on the topic that if it's going this way, it's positive. So this is a positive slope. But right now, it's just looking at the answer symbolically. So we're not even necessarily caring if it's minus b over minus a. We can just literally see that it's b over a. Okay, and they didn't go into minus on any of this here, probably for that reason. That would be a distraction to this as well, because we're looking at it symbolically. What else can we say about this? How about this for an exercise for you guys? So since it's 2A, 2B, A, B, and 0, 0, how about putting in the comments, either anybody watching this right now live? Let me check if we're still live. Yeah, there's a few people out there. If anybody wants to pump out the formula of this line based on that information, what would it be? Also, if you want to do it afterwards, if you're catching us in the replay, you can do that as well. All right, so with that in mind, let's go to the next question. And I will shift this over. By the way, a question like this on the slope, especially this simple, this will probably come up every SHSAT, and sometimes it really is this simple. And you just want to make sure you got the basic concept down. Normally the SHSAT is doing deeper and more creative kind of thought process on the questions, but sometimes it's just as simple as that, okay? So don't be caught off guard. This is also another one that comes up on a lot of SHSATs. And on this one, this may be the only kind of question on the test that there is. Let me try to shrink this down slightly. Okay, that's fitting there. So let's just start out by looking at the top. So we have, we're going to start by looking at the illustration and not the words. So we're going to go right to the illustration. We're going to skip that first paragraph, go to the words, go to the illustration. So it says wolf population. That's what the whole thing is about. And the bottom says years since 2000. And we also notice this part right here. Let me make sure that's coming up on your guys' screen. Right. That just means they're not going to include the 0 through the 70 on the y-axis here. They're just getting it captured so that only the part with the line and the dots are showing. Okay? That's all that's important in this. So we basically thrown that other information away. So that's what this kind of zigzag, kind of lightning looking thing here means. Don't start freaking out the day of the test, figuring you'd never seen that before in your life. All right? So what else do we have on this illustration? The left-hand side, which is the y-axis, is the number of wolves. So we see that goes from 80 to about 180. Now the line goes to about 155. That's where it meets the y-axis. But if you notice, there's 3 dots up here that are still up there. That there is a wolf population up there based on those years, the number of years since 2000. So this goes basically from 2000 to 2014. Right? We don't know where the question is going at this point. So we can ask ourselves certain questions like, what's the situation here? So this was 2008, and we have about 100, it's a little less than 125. So it's probably about 122 or 123 wolves at that point. Is there one that just matches it? Something like this. In 2004, there was probably 171 or 172 wolves, and so on and so on and so on. There's really not much else going there. So now what you want to do is go back to see what the words are saying. So in this case, you don't want to skip this paragraph up here. Okay, and you might say, well, Greg, why did you force us to look at the illustration first? Well, the truth of the matter is that even kids that don't do that almost always go straight to the illustration, look at it for 1 second, and then go to the question. And most kids actually don't ever read the top of it here. So that's just as important as anything else, even if it kind of almost says nothing. If nothing else, let it confirm what you observed when you looked at the illustration. So it says the graph shows the wolf population in Yellowstone National Park since 2000. Okay? A student drew a line of best fit to model the data. So what is that thing? What is a best fit line? Okay? Well, first of all, you should know this is called the scatter plot. If you don't, you need to go look up these things. Look up best fit, line of best fit, and look up scatter plot and start figuring it out about this. Now, as I said a couple of minutes ago, this kind of question only comes up about once in the whole SHSAT, but do you really want to throw those 3 points away? And here's where it gets more significant. What if it's worth 10 points? What if it's worth 15 points? So it's one thing to say, oh, they're all worth 3 points. They're not. That's not how the SHSAT is scored. And what if you got so many right that now it's worth 15 points? Right? Every question on the SHSAT is not worth the same amount. Your score depends on how many correct answers you got at a given point in time. So if you got, say 35 right, this may be only worth 4 or 5 points. But if you got 42 right, this may be worth 12 points. And if you're getting that many right to get a shot at maybe the cutoff score that you want and so on, you don't want to blow this question. So don't say, he said there's only one, it's not a big deal. It's not as important as all the algebra stuff and all that stuff. That may all be true. But at the end of the day, a point is a point no matter how you get it. All right? So be careful being too melancholy and nonchalant and even flippant about getting your points for these tests. Because this is just as important as any other point you can get for any other reason. Even on the ELA part. If you can get a point in the math part, it's still a point. So get it. All right? Okay, so learn what a line of best fit is and what a scatter plot is. Just briefly, a scatter plot is recording of data that doesn't follow a linear situation, and the line of best fit is trying to force a linear situation into it. If you will, it's averaging out the data and drawing it. Now, it doesn't say that this is a correct line of best fit. It just says a student drew one. That doesn't mean it's correct. All right? That's a different story. If it left out the student part, I might buy that it's correct. So you have to go into this with a slight sense of being suspect on it. All right? Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to scroll this up slightly. to get the graph and the data more, even though it was there already. In fact, if I blow this up, will it still fit? No, not really. Okay. All right, it was worth a try. On that note, let me make sure we're live. I'm still seeing multiple viewers out there. Please like, please subscribe, please ask me questions, please interact. This is your opportunity. There's something like 23 days left for the SHSAT. You're getting down to the wire. Whether you've been studying for years, studying for months, studying for weeks, or you just started studying yesterday, it's time to pony up and get the show on the road, guys. All right. All right. So let's try to go through the question now. We observed the illustration. We got the predecessor prerequisite kind of paragraph out of the way. Now let's jump into it. And I think this just crashed on me. Give me 1 second, guys. Yeah, it did. Okay, give me 1 second. I have to bring the example back up because I'm not sure if it's showing on your guys' screens. The PDF viewer just crashed on me, so give me 1 second. While I'm doing that, I'm Greg from GregsTutoringNYC at gmail.com. Please don't hesitate to email me about any SHSAT related things. And of course, I'm a tutor, so I'm available for tutoring. Now is the time to do it. I love tutoring the kids. I love crawling into your brains. I love your questions. I love interacting. I love seeing the passion in some of you guys'. I went to Brooklyn Tech myself, and I loved it. And it's something I like to impart onto other kids as well. So it'd be great to see some of you guys getting into some of these schools. Most are pretty wonderful places to be in. All right, I think we just got live again, so let me bring this up slightly. Actually, can I expand that one more time? No, I can't. That was the problem we had before. Okay. All right. So what I'm going to do is try to leave the PDF alone, and let's go through the choices. So, which statement best describes the line of best fit that the student drew? A. The line of best fit is not a strong model for the data because the points are not close to the line. So remember, we're shooting for best. We're absolutely shooting for best here, okay? So far, I'm not so keen on A, but it's not wrong. So A is our strongest answer so far. It says the line of best fit, which is this here, okay, is not a strong model for the data because the points are not close to the line. And I mentioned before that the student may have drawn it wrong. I kind of would have liked this line to be closer to these 3 dots and maybe gone like this, maybe. I'm not exactly sure. Okay, these don't necessarily affect it because they're called outliers. And again, if you read up on scatter plots and lines of best fits, and also look up outliers, what that really means. But they're kind of freak numbers that don't really come into play. Like for argument's sake, if it's the winter and it's snowing out, and all of a sudden one day that week where there was a storm and there's going to be a bunch of storms, it might end up being 65 degrees in New York City, and then it flips down to being under 30 or something. That day where it warmed up, that's the outlier. That's the freak day or whatever. Okay, so if you're going to model whether it was snowing that week, you would pretty much have that straight line, and the dots here might be the temperature of the day where it was not the case. So in this case, it's about the wolf population. So in scenarios where the wolf population really grew, and there was a lot more of them because most of them were teetering around this kind of thing. And you can see, by the way, that they declined. But these 3 years, they super popped up. Again, maybe it was super warm that winter. Maybe something good happened with the food. Maybe some of the other years there was drought or who knows what, right? So, all right. So you want line of best fit, you want scatter plot, you want outliers. So in any event, A is okay. It's not that A is wrong, but to me the numbers are not too varied. But I would have liked the line to be drawn a different way. So the line of best fit is not a strong model for the data because the points are not close to the line. B, the line of best fit is not a strong model for the data because it does not pass through any of the data points. Well, does the line, there's two issues here, at least two issues here. The first is, does the line of best fit have to pass through any of the data? I don't think so. Maybe I need to read up on this myself. But it just is giving you kind of a statistical average, a visual statistical average. Okay, so that's number one. And number two is that it actually goes through this point here, and it's touching this point here. So even if the essence of B was true, it's not literally true because it's going through those 2 points. All right, it definitely seems to be going through the center of this one. It seems to be touching the side of that one. So B just doesn't work. C says the line of best fit is a strong model for the data because both the line and the data show a negative trend. Okay, so we talked in the previous example that a positive slope was this way, therefore a negative slope is that way. So it does show a negative trend. Now, I just said the wolf population was declining. Okay, so that's all true. It is a negative trend, the wolf population is declining, but does that determine what a best fit is? No. No, you can have a best fit on a decline. So it may not be a strong model, and it may be that the data shows a negative trend, but those two things don't relate to each other. They don't even really relate indirectly. So C is just a kind of an out there answer. It's just a bad answer. And D says the line of best fit is a strong model for the data because about half the data points are on either side of the line. Again, that kind of neither has nothing to do with it per se. What we're trying to do is get the averaging of the points along the side. All right? And what we can't do is say there's, if we count the dots on this side, we have 1, 2, we have that one there too, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I believe if I counted right, we have 9 here. And on the top, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We'll count the one on the line. 7, we'll count that one on the line. 8. So they're about equal. I could count them more accurately, but I just don't like answer D, so I'm not even going to worry about if they're really 8 and 9, but I think they are. So let's read D again. The line of best fit is a strong model for the data because about half of the data points are on either side. We know that can't be the case on this thing because these 3 were outliers. So it's an outlier we basically throw away. So if we throw those away, now we have like 5 and 9. So in this case, D doesn't work because it's almost a factor of 2. And in fact, if I count it wrong, it might actually be 10. So we have 5 versus 10. So D doesn't represent that because we have to throw the outliers away. We can't make the line trend and be a best fit on the outliers. Okay? So C and D are ridiculous. B is just false. And A is the only one left. Again, I wasn't super duper keen on it, but it's like I originally said, it's not that it's wrong. Okay? All right, so I think I'm going to end this here. We have, what question number were we just up to there? 8. We have 8, 9, 10, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 to 6 more questions on this. We'll either cover that tomorrow or I'll break it up depending on my my situation. I'm going to pop out a Ask Me Anything right after this, and I'll just touch base with it through my phone because I'm not going to be monitoring my computer and so on. Again, guys, please like the video. Please subscribe to my channel. The SHSAT's in 3.5 weeks at this point, and it's something you guys need to get your act together on now at this point. I'm not saying you don't have your act together, but you might as well hone your situation and get resolutions to a few more questions if you can. And if you're just starting, please, please contact me. I'm available for tutoring. It's getting tight at this point with different students doing different things, but we can work it out. There's 7 days a week, right? And there's a lot of hours in the day. All right, peace out.